So let's start with the chapter Agriculture, class 10th. So we know that India is an agriculturally important country. 2/3 of its population is engaged in agricultural activities. We know that agriculture is a primary activity which produces most of the food that we consume. Besides food grains, it also produces raw materials for various industries. Now coming to the types of farming. So agriculture is an old economic activity in our country, right? So many our forefathers also practiced agriculture or farming, right? So over these years, cultivation methods have changed significantly depending upon the characteristics mentioned here. Those are physical environment, technological know-how, and the socio-cultural practices. Farming varies from subsistence to commercial type. At present, in different parts of India, the following farming systems are practiced. So let's see the main types. So the main types are subsistence farming and commercial farming. In subsistence farming, we have primitive subsistence farming. So this type of farming is still practiced in the pockets of India. Primitive subsistence farming or agriculture is practiced on small patches of land with the help of primitive or old or underdeveloped tools like hoe, dhow and digging sticks. And the labor is mostly the family members because the farmer doesn't have more money also to provide it to other laborers. So his or her family only helps them to grow. So this type of farming depends upon monsoon because it doesn't have proper irrigation facilities. It also depends upon the natural fertility of the soil because they can't afford fertilizers and manures, and suitability of other environmental conditions for the crop. So it is a slash and burn agriculture. It is also known as slash and burn. Farmers clear a patch of land and produce cereals and other food crops to sustain their family. So when the soil fertility decreases, the farmers shift and clear a fresh patch of land for cultivation. So this type of shifting allows the nature to replenish the fertility of the soil through natural processes. Land productivity in this type of agriculture is low, means very low amount of yield is produced, because the farmer also cannot afford to use fertilizers or modern inputs. It is known by different names in different parts of the world. So it is known as Jhumeng in northeastern states like Assam, Meghalaya, Mizoram and Nagaland, Pamlo in Manipur, Deepa in Bastar district of Chhattisgarh and in Andaman and Nicobar Islands. And talking about the international countries, it is known milpa in Mexico, Central America. Also it is known as milpa. It is known as conoco in Venezuela, roca in Brazil, masol in Central Africa, ladang in Indonesia and ray in Vietnam. So now studying about intensive subsistence farming. So here we have discussed written in points. About subsistence farming, we studied primitive subsistence farming and intensive subsistence farming. Primitive, you can see land, small patches. Primitive tools are used, underdeveloped, such as hoe, dhow or digging sticks. Labor is either family or community members, they come to help. Okay, so this type of farming depends upon monsoon, natural fertility of soil and suitability of other environmental conditions to the crops grown. Now coming to the intensive, but here you can see the different names. With in purple is the area and in orangish yellow, in purple is the name and in orangish yellow is the area. So it is the same that we just studied. Okay, now coming to intensive subsistence farming. So this type of farming is practiced in the areas of high population pressure on land. So it is a labor intensive farming where high doses of biochemical inputs and irrigation are used for obtaining higher production. This means that land is a high population pressure land and tools are high doses of chemical inputs and irrigation. So here we can see the farmers can afford bringing fertilizers, they can afford bringing HYV seeds, right? And labor are poor farmers. So through the right of inheritance leading to the division of land among successive generation, it has rendered land holding. So we have heard many stories that there was a farmer with a big land and he had 4 sons. So he had to divide that big land into 4 parts. One more, so the first son had 5 sons again. So again he had to divide that part of land which he got from his father again into 5 parts. Okay, so again that 5 children, first one has two sons. Okay, 2 sons and 1 daughter, let's say. So again he has to divide his land into 3. So this is making the land poor and poor, means a person is getting very less land. Okay, so therefore there is enormous pressure on agricultural land. Okay, now coming to commercial farming. So here the main characteristics are use of higher doses of modern inputs. Here commercial farming includes big land, whereas intensive subsistence farming includes small land but big quality products, or big quality inputs or good quality inputs. But here it is big land for commercial purposes, commercial earning money. Okay, so the main characteristic of this type of farming is the use of high doses of modern inputs, as we saw just now. That is high yielding varieties of seeds or HYV seeds, chemical fertilizers, insecticides and pesticides in order to maintain higher productivity. The degree of commercialization of agriculture varies from one region to another. For example, rice is a commercial crop in Haryana and Punjab, but in Odisha it is a subsistence crop. So this says that each and every crop has different functions in different areas. Example is given that rice is a commercial crop in Haryana. Why? Because they have more of wheat as a subsistence crop, right? So they'll grow rice as a commercial crop and they'll sell. But whereas in Odisha, rice is a subsistence crop. Now coming to plantation. So plantation is a type of commercial farming, and in this type of farming a single crop is grown on a large area. So we have heard the examples of tea plantation, coffee plantation, right? So the plantation has an interface of agriculture and industry. Plantations cover large tracts of land using capital intensive inputs, means modernized inputs, with the help of migrant laborers. So laborers migrate from one area to another. All the produce is as a raw material in respective industries. In India, tea, coffee, rubber, sugarcane, banana, etc. are important plantation crops. Tea in Assam and North Bengal, coffee in Karnataka are some of the important plantation crops grown in these states. Since the production is mainly for market, a well-developed network of transport and communication connecting the plantation areas, processing industries and markets plays an important role in the development of plantations. Now coming to the cropping pattern. So we have 3 seasons in our country, that is Rabi, Kharif and Zaid. So this table is a very helpful table wherein we have when the crops are sown in, when they are harvested, and example plants and the main places and extra information. So coming to Rabi crops. Rabi crops are sown in winter, in some winter, that is October to December, and harvested in summer, that is April to June. For example, the plants are wheat, barley, peas, gram and mustard. So the main areas where Rabi crops are grown are Punjab, Haryana, Himachal Pradesh, Jammu and Kashmir, Uttarakhand and Uttar Pradesh. So these areas are famous for wheat. Extra information. So availability of precipitation during winter months due to the western temperature cyclones helps in the success of these crops. Now coming to Kharif crops. So they are sown in the onset of monsoon and harvested in September, between September and October. For example, the plants are paddy, maize, jawar, bajra, tur, moong. We can say these are dals or pulses. Tur pulse, moong dal, urad dal, cotton, jute, groundnut and soya bean. So rice growing areas in India are Assam, West Bengal, coastal regions of Odisha, Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, Tamil Nadu, Kerala and Maharashtra, particularly the Konkan coast in Maharashtra, along with the Uttar Pradesh and Bihar. So extra info, in states like Assam, West Bengal and Odisha, 3 crops of paddy are grown in a year. These are Os, Aman and Boro. Now coming to the Z season. So here the plants are sown in summer and plant examples can be watermelon, muskmelon, cucumber, vegetables and fodder crops. Extra information here is sugarcane takes almost a year to grow. Means in 1 year sugarcane crop will be ready. So we just studied that paddy 3 times crops they can grow in a year, whereas sugarcane you can see only once in a year. Now coming to the major crops. Now we are going to study about the different crops, whether it be major, fiber, non-fiber, etc. Now coming to the rice. It is the staple food crop of a majority of people in India. Our country is the second largest producer of rice in the world after China. Kharif crop. So it is a Kharif crop, as we know. It requires high temperature, that is about 25 degrees Celsius. It requires high humidity and annual rainfall above 100 centimeter. It is grown in the plains of north and northeastern India, coastal areas and the deltaic regions. Now coming to wheat. This is the second most important cereal crop. So just revising, there are cereals contain more of carbohydrates and pulses contain more of proteins. We can remember it through C, cereals, carbohydrates, P, proteins, pulses. So it is the main food crop in north and northwestern part of the country. Rabi crop, wheat is a Rabi crop and cool growing season, grows in the cool growing season. It requires bright sunshine at the type of ripening and requires 50 to 75 centimeter of rainfall. So the growing zones are the Ganga Satluj plains in northwest and black soil region of the Deccan. The major wheat producing states are Punjab, Haryana, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Rajasthan and parts of MP or Madhya Pradesh. Now coming to millets. Jawar, bajra and ragi are the important millets grown in India. Though these are known as coarse grains, they have high nutritional value. Ragi is rich in iron, calcium and other micronutrients and roughage, while jawar is the third most important food crop with respect to area and production. It is a rain-fed crop and hardly needs irrigation. Major jawar producers are Maharashtra, Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh and Madhya Pradesh as per 2011-2012. Bajra is grown on sandy soil or shallow black soil. Major bajra producers are Rajasthan, Uttar Pradesh, Maharashtra, Gujarat and Haryana as per 2011-2012. So ragi is a dry region crop and soil requirements is red soil or black soil, sandy soil or loamy or shallow black soils. Major ragi producers are Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Sikkim, Jharkhand and Arunachal Pradesh. Now coming to maize and pulses. Maize. So it is a food crop which is used for both as well as used as food as well as fodder. So fodder is food for cattle. It is a Kharif crop and requires temperature from 21 degrees Celsius to 27 degrees Celsius. It grows well on old alluvial soil. Grows in Bihar in the Rabi season. Use of modern inputs is done such as HIV seeds, fertilizers and irrigation, and it have contributed to the increasing production of maize. Major maize producing states are Karnataka, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Andhra Pradesh, Telangana and Madhya Pradesh. Now coming to pulses. So India is the largest producer as well as the consumer of pulses in the world. These are the major source of protein in a vegetarian diet. Major pulses are tur, arhar, urad, moong, masoor, peas, gram, etc. So pulses need very less moisture and survive even in dry conditions. Being leguminous crops. Leguminous crops are the crops which help in nitrogen fixation in the soil. All these crops except arhar help in restoring soil fertility by fixing nitrogen from the air. The same as I said. So mostly they are grown in rotation with other crops. Major pulse producers are Madhya Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh, Rajasthan, Maharashtra and Karnataka. Now coming to food crops other than grains. So it is sugarcane and oil seeds. So coming to sugarcane. Tropical as well as a subtropical crop. It is grown in the tropical region as well as subtropical region of the earth. So as we know, tropical region means the region between the two tropics, and subtropical the region between the tropics and arctics, or circles I can say. So requires hot and humid climate, that is between 21 degrees Celsius to 27 degrees Celsius, and a rainfall of 75 to 100 centimeter annually. Irrigation is required in the regions of rainfall. Variety of soils it grows in. It needs manual labor from sowing to harvesting. India is the second largest producer of sugarcane after Brazil. It is the main source of sugar, gur or jaggery, khandsari and molasses. Major sugarcane producers are Uttar Pradesh, Maharashtra, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, Bihar, Punjab and Haryana. Now coming to oilseeds. So in 2008, India was the second largest producer of groundnut in the world after China. In rapeseed production, India was third largest producer in the world after Canada and China in 2008. Different oilseeds are grown covering approximately 12% of the total cropped area of the country. The main oilseeds produced in India are groundnut, mustard, coconut, sesame or til, soya bean, castor seeds, cotton seeds, linseed and sunflower. Some of these are also used as raw material in the production of soap, cosmetics and ointments. So if we study about groundnut, groundnut is a Kharif crop which accounts for about half of the major oilseeds produced in the country. Gujarat is the largest producer, followed by Andhra Pradesh and Tamil Nadu as per 2011-2012. Sesame is a Kharif crop and in the north, it is a Kharif crop in the north and Rabi crop in the south. So we can understand the difference. Okay, castor seed is grown in as both Rabi and Kharif crop. So linseed and mustard are both Rabi crops. Now coming to tea. So tea, as we know, it is a beverage crop. So tea cultivation is an example of plantation agriculture. We just saw while studying commercial farming. So it is an important beverage crop introduced in India initially by the British. Today, most of the tea plantations are owned by Indians. The tea plant grows well in tropical and subtropical climates, endowed with deep and fertile, well-drained soil rich in humus and organic matter. Tea bushes require warm and moist or frost-free climate all through the year. Frequent showers, evenly distributed over the year, ensure continuous growth of the tender leaves. So, tea is a labor intensive industry. It requires abundant, cheap, and skilled labor. Tea is processed within the tea garden to restore its freshness. Major tea producing states are Assam, hills of Darjeeling, and Jal and Jalpaiguri districts, West Bengal, Tamil Nadu, Uttarakhand, Himachal Pradesh, Meghalaya, Andhra Pradesh, and Tripura are also tea producing states in the country. In 2018, India was the second largest producer of tea after China. Sorry. Now coming to coffee and fruits and vegetables. So coming to coffee. So in 2008, India produced 3.2% of the world's coffee. Indian coffee is known in the world for its good quality. The Arabica variety, initially brought from Yemen, is produced in this country. This variety is in great demand all over the world. Initially, its cultivation was introduced on the Baba Budan hills and even today is cultivated confined in the Nilgiri in Karnataka, Kerala and Tamil Nadu. Now coming to the horticulture crops. In 2018, India was the second largest producer of fruits and vegetables in the world after China. India is the producer of tropical as well as temperate fruits. Mangoes of Maharashtra, Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, Uttar Pradesh and West Bengal, oranges of Nagpur and Cherrapunji, Meghalaya, bananas of Kerala, Mizoram, Maharashtra and Tamil Nadu, lychee and guava of Uttar Pradesh and Bihar, pineapples of Meghalaya, grapes of Andhra Pradesh, Telangana and Maharashtra, apples, pears, apricots and walnuts of Jammu and Kashmir and Himachal Pradesh are in great demand all over the world. India is an important producer of pea, cauliflower, onion, cabbage, tomato, brinjal and potato. Now coming to non-food crops that includes rubber. So rubber, it is an equatorial crop but under special conditions. It is also grown in tropical and subtropical areas. It requires moist and humid climate with rainfall of more than 200 centimeter and temperature above 25 degrees Celsius. Rubber is an important industrial raw material. It is mainly grown in Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka and Andaman and Nicobar Islands and Garo Hills of Meghalaya. Now coming to the fiber crops which include cotton and jute. So fiber crops, cotton, jute, hemp and natural silk are the four major fiber crops grown in India. The first three are derived from the crops, while silk is derived from silkworms as we know. Silkworms feed on green leaves, especially mulberry leaves. Rearing for silkworms for the production of silk fiber is known as sericulture. Now coming to cotton. So India is believed to be the original home of the cotton plant. Cotton is one of the main raw materials for cotton textile industry. In 2007, India was the second largest producer of cotton after China. Cotton grows well in drier parts of the black cotton soil of the Deccan Plateau. It requires high temperature, light rainfall or irrigation, 210 frost-free days and bright sunshine for its growth. It is a Kharif crop and requires 6 to 8 months to mature. Major cotton producing states are Maharashtra, Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh, Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, Tamil Nadu, Punjab, Haryana, and Uttar Pradesh. Jute. It is known as golden fiber. Jute grows well on well drained fertile soils in the floodplains where soils are renewed every year. High temperature is required during the time of growth. West Bengal, Bihar, Assam, Odisha, and Meghalaya are the major jute producing states. It is used in making gunny bags, mats, ropes, yarn, carpets, and other artifacts. Due to its high cost, it is losing market to synthetic fibers and packing materials, particularly the nylon. Now coming to the technological and institutional reforms. It was mentioned in the previous pages that agriculture has been practiced in India for thousands of years. We just discussed it in the previous slides. So sustained use of land without compatible techno-institutional changes have hindered the pace of agricultural development. In spite of development of sources of irrigation, most of the farmers in large parts still depend upon monsoon and waste a lot of water. For a growing population, this poses a serious challenge. Agriculture, which provides livelihood for more than 60% of India's population, needs some serious technical and institutional reforms. Therefore, collectivization, consolidation of holdings, cooperation, and abolition of zamindari, etc., were given priority to bring about institutional reforms in the country after independence. Land reform was the first main focus of the first 5-year plan. The right of inheritance had already led to the fragmentation of land holdings, necessitating the consolidation of holdings. The laws of land reforms were enacted, but the implementation was lacking or lukewarm. The government of India embarked upon introducing agricultural reforms to improve Indian agriculture in the 1960s and 1970s. So the government also announced that there should be a minimum support price, remunerative and procurement prices for important crops to check the exploitation of farmers by speculators and middlemen. Now coming about agriculture, national economy, employment and output. So the share of agriculture in gross domestic product or GDP has registered a declining trend from 1951 onwards. In 2011-2012, about 52% of total workforce was employed by farm sector. The declined share of agriculture in GDP is a matter of serious concern because any decline and stagnation in agriculture will lead to a decline in other spheres of the economy having wider implications for the society. This led to the establishment of Indian Council of Agricultural Research, agricultural universities, veterinary services, animal breeding centers, horticultural development, research and development in the field of meteorology and weather forecast. So these all were given priority for improving Indian agriculture. Now coming to impact of globalization on agriculture. Globalization means to trade. So India did trade from its ancient times. As we know, during the British period, cotton belts of India attracted the British and ultimately cotton was exported to British as a raw material. Many spices were also exported from India to Britain and other parts of the world. So there was a Champaran movement, as we know, in 1917 in Bihar, where the farmers were forced to grow indigo. Under globalization, particularly after 1990, farmers of India has been exposed to new challenges. The agricultural products of India are not able to compete with the developed countries because of the highly subsidized agriculture in those countries. To make agriculture successful and profitable, proper thrust should be given to the improvement of small and marginal farmers. Genetic engineering is revolutionizing the agricultural production nowadays. Therefore, organic farming is also in fashion. these days because it is practiced without factory made chemicals such as fertilizers and pesticides. Hence, it does not affect the environment in a negative manner and is environment friendly. Indian farmers should diversify their crop patterns from cereals to high value crops. This will increase incomes and reduce environmental degradation. Because fruits, vegetables, and medicinal herbs, flowers, biodiesel crops like jatropha and jojoba need much less irrigation than rice or sugarcane. Thank you.